We're gonna have to, this is a part 2. Somebody was calling my phone as I was recording, so that's freaking annoying. But anyways, this is gonna be, it's still to part 1, but we're just gonna call it part 2 of it, okay? So if you're just watching this one and you haven't watched the first part, go watch the first part so you get the whole flow of my truth. Okay, so I know y'all, like I said, this motherfucker was wreaking havoc on our era. Okay, so I know somebody who comes across this, you're going to be like, I saw that motherfucker too. So anyways, I turn around and it is a tall entity. He has a long trench coat on. I can see this face, but I can't make out a face. But all I know is he had 2 red eyes. Okay, I see the red eyes. And I keep going up. I call him Top Hat. Okay, he had a hat, one of those top hats sitting there. Okay, and there's 2 little spiky things pointing out from it. I'm going to assume that that is his horns. Okay, he did not have normal feet. They were hoof feet. And I'm like, hell no. Hell motherfucking no. Okay? And so now that I'm thinking of the timeline, because it was in that house where I'm going to tell you guys that story after this as well. I beat the shit out of a girl who called my mom a bitch. And I was 12 years old. So I was 12 when this happened. I was like, yeah, because after that happened, we got out. We got out of that house. So anyways, I'm turning and I can see him. He's not saying nothing. I'm not saying nothing. But he is telling me, I'm taking your soul. I'm taking your soul. He's not moving his lips. He's not nothing, okay? But I can feel when I'm looking at those 2 beady red eyes, I'm like, Now, I need you guys to know my grandma passed away when I was 3, okay? I don't remember her, but I remember the day that they got the phone call that she passed away. I remember that day clear. 3 years old, I remember it. That's when life changed. That's when everyone's mask started falling off in the family, right? But anyways, all of a sudden I'm laying flat. I can hear her voice and she's telling me, my baby, you gotta pray. You gotta pray. Grandma's here. You gotta pray. And I'm like, what? Oh, all of a sudden I see this fucking entity. All of a sudden I can hear my grandma who is not alive. I can hear her voice. She's like, you gotta pray. This fucker comes walking over to the bed, okay? And I'm like more and more panicked. It's that sleep paralysis. But I wasn't asleep. I couldn't fucking move. I couldn't talk. I couldn't do nothing. My hands, I was holding the blanket up, went down. Like he threw them down. Okay, and I'm like, what the fuck? Now I am stiff as a board in this bed, 12 years old. I'm looking down at the foot of the bed, and there is Top Hat. I'm like, no, right? I can feel the bottom of my feet getting cold. This fucker climbs on top of me, but he's doing it in a sense of stillness, slowness, okay? I can feel the coldness in my feet. That cold keeps coming up my calves. It's coming up my knees. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? And he's looking at me and I can still feel that feeling. I'm gonna take your soul. I'm gonna take your soul. And I can hear my grandma, pray, my baby, pray, pray. All of a sudden, my ass, our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. I called on God. Let me tell you guys, anybody who doesn't believe in God, get off my page, honestly, respectfully, go. Because God has showed up and showed out for me, more times than I can even fucking count. I'm telling you guys right now, I start praying the Our Father. I can feel my grandma. She's whispering it in my ear and I'm saying it. It's getting colder and colder. He's now at my abdominal. He's coming. It's up to my chest. Okay, and he's like just about there, almost like making me feel like, you think God's gonna help you? You think God's gonna win? Well, I'm praying. And let me tell you, finally, I said it like 3 times, the prayer, right? Boom. Finally, all of a sudden, I got this cold thing on my, like something came and just threw him off of me. All of a sudden, I could scream, I could move, right? Wah! I screamed at the top of my lungs in the bedroom. I sat up, I go to try and run, and I'm like falling on the carpet because, you know, like you're fucking terrified, right? All of a sudden, my dad's at the bottom of the stairs. When you go around the house, if there's a front door there and you go up the stairs, my dad's at the bottom of the stairs because he heard me scream. Mom's coming down the stairs shortly after. We meet in the living room. What's wrong? What's wrong? He's holding me. What's wrong? What's wrong? And I'm telling him. I'm like, oh my God, like explaining everything that just happened, right? My mom comes down. She goes into that room. She opens up the closet door. She looks under the bed and she can see visibly something happened. I am sure, you guys, I was probably 10 shades whiter. You know what I mean? Like I was pale faced. She grabbed out her holy water and she put it on my crown. She rubbed my crown, top of my head, had an afro, so she was massaging it in. She gave me her holy rosary, my grandma's. She went upstairs, grabbed it, put it around my neck. My dad grabbed some sage and sweetgrass and he started smudging. I could not sleep alone. There's no way. I had to go lay with my mom. My mom I laid on the left seat. She sat right there and I told her, don't leave me. Even if they try to move, I couldn't even sleep, you guys. Let me just be completely honest. Like I couldn't sleep, but I remember laying on the left seat. Now it is Christmas morning. We're supposed to be doing Christmas. Things are supposed to be happy. Well, it's not. I'm pissed off. Why was my sister gone? Right? Why did my uncle come and take my sister on Christmas Eve? Why did they take her? Right? She was my protector. Always was my protector. My mom gets on the phone with my Uncle Ivan and he moved away. As soon as my grandma passed away, he's like, see you fucks later. Like he left, right? He didn't want anything to do with the family. He was a little bit crooked though, I guess. I've never heard his side of the story, but I guess he took some stuff from my grandma, like hid her will and everything like that when she passed away. It was, you know, messy shit, right? But nonetheless, my mom called him. And I don't know what was said on that conversation, but I know what my mom said. Like, I don't know what my uncle's response was. So this is me only guessing what his response is by mom's response, right? So she said, it's back. And I'm going to assume that my uncle said, what? And she said, my Tanny was attacked last night. I'm going to assume again, uncle said, by what? And she explained the story. And he said, you need to take her to a priest. Why is that thing back? So I don't know if this happened to one of my aunts or uncles when they were little. Maybe this happened to my mom when she was little. Again, I'm young and I was born in the era, you don't fucking ask questions. Like, first of all, if she found out I was even listening to that phone conversation, I would have got backhanded. Right? You don't do that. In my era, you guys, you don't do that, right? The way my kids are nosy Noras now, I'm on the phone, they're like, who are you talking to? Who's that? Tell them I said hi. You know what I mean? Like the kids nowadays, back then, you don't do that. Like if she even knew that I was listening to the conversation, I would have gotten shit. So I know that this entity has been in my family for a while because mom said, okay, I'll take her to the church, right? So there was that incident. Now I remember like being in that house and my mom and dad would have discussions and they would never like talk to us about it. But again, when you think your kids aren't listening, they are. My dad used to come in the bedroom when me and Patricia would be sleeping and he would yell at us, telling us to get the fuck to sleep. You guys, we were sound asleep. My dad told my mom that he's been hearing laughter, like kids playing jokes, things dropping, like moving things around. My mom would go up to bed because she would like smoke her cigarette in her bed and watch TV up in her room, right? And dad would watch wrestling in the living room. And he would come and yell at us. He'd yell at my mom, "Hun, these girls are fucking around. Tell them to get the fuck to bed." So he'd come into the room, "Get the fuck to bed." We were both sound asleep. He used to hear sounds in that room. My mom said that there was a time when somebody was walking out the back door, but we were all at school. But she saw someone walk out the back door. My cousin Brookie, and my cousin Mikey used to come and visit my mom at that house. And the basement was pretty big, but we never went down there. We only went down there to do laundry, right? I don't know what Mikey and them were up to. They're probably having blade hoots in the kitchen and probably told Brookie to go play downstairs. She came upstairs and she said to my mom, "Auntie, who's that man in your basement in the corner? He kept telling me to come play with him." And my mom said, "What?" And Brooklyn was like, so if I was 12, she had to have been like 4, 5. Yeah, because we're 7, so 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. She had to have been 5, 4 or 5, okay? And my mom's like, "What are you talking about?" So she tells my dad. And then my dad gives my mom like a funny look, right? And he runs downstairs. There's nobody down there. So there's an entity in that house. And I will tell you guys, I think it's gotten removed since I've lived there. But after we moved out, that house, that back bedroom, always on fire. People were in there and then they were out. They were in there, then they were out. I think we were probably the longest tenants that lived in that house. So this whole darkness has been in my family for a long time. Why was this entity saying he's going to take my soul? I'm a 12-year-old little girl. What are you doing? You know what I mean? And I know entities, they pry on like the weaker one, but that's not me, honey. That was not me. No, you need to choose a different sister, because it was never me. You know what I mean? Point taken, hence why I called on God and that entity got moved out, right? Like, so it's not that. I don't want you guys to be like, "Oh, entities." No. Maybe that's why my sisters were taken out that night. You know what I mean? Because whatever Mr. Top Hat was coming to do his rounds, and maybe that person knew to take them away so it could try and take my soul, right? That's just my theory on all of that, okay? So when my sister came home, she promised that she would never leave me. And she didn't. Every Christmas Eve until she got locked up in Pine Grove, she was with me. But even on Christmas Eve when she was in jail, she made sure to call me and we prayed together on the phone when she was in jail. And she kept saying how sorry she was that she wasn't home for me. And she said, "Don't get scared. You don't let anything hurt you. And make sure you pray. Go sleep at mom's house. Go stay at mom's so you're not alone." Because we had our own little up and down duplex, right? When she went to jail. I think she was 9, or maybe she was 20. I'd have to ask my other sisters. I think she was 19 or 18 when she first went to jail, but that was like in summertime, so she was home for Christmas for me. But the second time that she went, she was in there for a while. I think she was 20, I was 18, or she was 19, I was 18. Either 18 or 17, something like that, okay? Like, I was underage. She's 1 year older than me. We're 13 months apart. So I remember, you know, after that, she never left me. From that house, I don't even remember where we moved from that. I don't even remember where we moved. I think we moved to 3rd Avenue North. That is another time. So I'm going to talk to you guys about all the moments of when I knew I was gifted, right? I do have to tell you guys the story, though, because I cannot not tell you. So this is how I don't play about my mama, okay? Like, I don't play about my mama. So Roxanne was a girl that was Patricia's friend. And she was 15. I wish my other sisters were here to, like, you know, because I know that they know. 15 or 16, okay? And I was 12 years old. Just really dating myself here. But anyways, VHSs. That was the thing, and they were a hot commodity back then, okay? They were expensive. And if you had them, you kept them. And if you borrowed them out, you had a book on who borrowed them, and they better bring it back. I'm telling you guys, it was no joke. My mom had a book because we had all the VHSs. Like I told you guys, my mama was a hustler, okay? We weren't rich by any means, but I'm telling you, that woman could turn a loony into $1,000. I'm telling you guys. So we had all these VHSs, right? And everyone would come to our house and like rent out movies. So this girl, my sister Patricia's friend, which was normal of my mom to take to our friends. My mom was not only mom to us girls. My mom was mom to many people. My mom just had that aura, much like my spirit. That's how my mommy was. If you guys are like, I wonder how Tanya's mom was, you're looking at it, okay? The only difference is I was a real dumb bitch for 20 years being in a relationship. But you know what? My mom was too, actually. But anyways, we're gonna get into that energy. But me and my mom are very similar the way that we are, the way we command. We don't even have to say nothing, but we command respect, but without even having to say anything. You know what I mean? That's a boss ass energy, okay? So anyways, this girl, Roxanne, called my mom, and she said something about wanting a couple movies, right? And my mom's like, well, bring those other movies back first. And she's like, yeah, okay, but can you get Patricia to come over here and bring me these movies? And my mom's like, no, I want those other movies back first. And once I see that you have those movies and you bring them back, then you can come grab these ones. And then she was talking shit to my mom on the phone. She's like, you know what, Roxanne, you don't want to do that to me. She sent me and Patricia over to her house. Go pick up those fucking movies from her right now, right? Mad at Patricia because it was Patricia's friend. So then me and Pat go walking over there. And I remember she had pork chops, mashed potatoes, and I think it was green beans on her plate. And my mom called, did the girls make it there? And she answered the phone. She's like, yeah, she did. Yeah, they did. And she goes, okay, can I talk to Patricia? And Patricia gets on the phone, and my mom names off the movies again so we don't forget, right? And then Pat hands the phone back to Roxanne, and she goes, here, my mom wants to talk to you. And she goes, okay, I told her this movie, and then I'll get them to come back, pick these ones up once you send those ones back. And she named off the movies that she was supposed to send back. And she didn't have a movie. I wish I could remember the movie too, you guys, because it probably was a good one. But my mom was pissed. My mom's like, where's that movie? And I guess Roxanne lost it. I think she probably sold it or like gave it to somebody to watch. I don't know, right? But my mom was pissed about it, right? She's like, that's why you're trying to come over here and get other movies. You're probably fucking selling them. My mom's like yelling at her, right? And Roxanne's like, fuck you, you fucking bitch. I am telling you guys right now, I don't play about my mama. I don't play about my mama. As soon as I heard her call my mom a bitch, I swear to God, I wish my sister was here, but my other sisters know about it. My mom's not here either, but my dad knows. I probably would have went to jail. I would have been in jail, you guys, for murder. I blacked out. As soon as I heard bitch, I jumped. I went over and I was fucking feeding this girl the mitts. I was on top of her, knocked her back on her bed, and I was on top of her just giving her haymakers. She had pork chops and mashed potatoes. She had a knife to cut her pork chops, okay? I grabbed that knife and I went like this, and I was just about to jam it in her fucking neck. My sister Patricia grabbed my wrist. She's like, what are you doing? You're gonna kill her. You're gonna fucking kill her, Tanya. I was like, you wanna fucking call my mama, bitch? And my mom's on the phone laughing. We can hear her. She's like, oh my God, what is going on? And she's like, Tanya, what is happening, right? Like, you could hear my mom yelling on the phone. And so fucking I gave her another couple punches, and Patricia's like, you're lucky that was her and it wasn't me, right? So we grab my mom's movies and we leave and we come home. And then I told my mom, and you know what my mom says? The only thing she said, and she used this against my sisters for years. And if you guys, like, it's funny how parents are, okay? But she used this against my sisters for years. She goes, well, at least I know one of my kids love me. She's like, well, you didn't do anything. Tanya did. Your baby sister did. Like, she threw it in Patricia's face. But if you guys know my mom, that's just how she is. For years, she would say to my other sisters, like, well, did you beat anybody up for me? No, you didn't. You know what I mean? Like, she would use that, like, as her leverage, right? Like, well, I know my Tanny loves me, right? And it was like a little joke all of our life, right? There's many times I stuck up for my mom. That will be another story. I fought my older sister while I was 8 months pregnant. Only time she ever stepped to me was when I was knocked up. Only time is when I was pregnant. You know what I mean? Come on, man. I'm carrying a being in my bed. And it wasn't like it was a little bit, like I was full tilt pregnant, right? Because I stuck up for my mom. That's a whole nother story though. But I don't play about my mama. I really don't. And I don't care who it is. I don't care who it is. My mom always taught me the bigger you are, the harder you fall. So if I fall, I fall, right? But I never have. One time, actually, that's another story though. So there was that encounter with that whole crazy house with Mr. Top Hat and all of the dark entities there. And then the next encounter that we had with like spirits, I do believe it was when we moved into 3rd Avenue North. I just finished telling this story to my daughter, which again was spirit saying, you need to share your story with people because Tanya, you're an inspiration. So there was a night, again, sleep paralysis happened. And at this time, I'm like 15 years old, right? We're in 3rd Avenue North. I couldn't sleep the whole night. And in my wake state, there's my grandma again. And we're in my sister Patricia's house. And she lived is off 2nd Avenue North. So maybe I was 16, yeah, because she was 17. My sister's been on her own since she was like 16. Yeah, with my brother. I just don't like not getting the timeline right. I hate that. Like, that's very Capricorny of me. I just want to make sure that the timeline is right, you know? Like, I think I was 16 and she was 17. Yeah, because then she went to jail. That it was in that house when she went to jail. That's right. So my sister, she was no stranger to the hard life, okay? My sister was cooking crack in our house by time she was 15 years old, and I was 14. I watched her, right? My mom didn't know what was going on. Again, she was into like selling other drugs, not that. But my sister, like with a coffee pot, I saw her cooking crack and fucking everything and anything. You know, my sister was a straight up fucking gangster. Anybody who knew my sister Patricia will tell you that. Straight up fucking gangster, man. She came here for a short time, but that short time was fucking hard and fast. You know, she only had one gear and it was don't fuck around. But that night, my grandma, she took me to my sister's house. And we were sitting in the living room and my sister was in the bedroom. And my grandma, like, we were there for a while and we were talking, and I can't remember what we were saying in the dream, but we were like walking around Patricia's house, but we couldn't go into Patricia's room. And I remember my grandma looking at me and she's like, now you need to help me, okay? And I was like, what? She's like, you need to help me. Are you ready? And I was like, okay. So my grandma got up and she opened Patricia's door. And there was my sister. She had a needle in her arm and she was like foaming out of her mouth. And my grandma said, help me pick her up. So I'm crying and I'm like, Pat. Like, I remove that out of her arm and I take her to the bathroom and we throw her in the tub. And I turn on the cold water. My grandma turned on the cold water and I put her in there. And I remember coming up from downstairs and I went into my mom's room. It's like 5 o'clock in the morning now. And I'm standing at her doorway and I open. I was like, Mom, are you up? She goes, yeah. I said, where's my sister? She's like, what, Tanny? I said, where's my sister, Mom? Call my sister. I've been trying to call her. I said, she's not answering, Mom. I'm worried about her. Call my sister, Mom. Mom, call my sister. And I'm pleading with her. She goes, I know, my baby. I know, Tanny. Just wait. Just wait. And she's sitting there because my mom saw something too. She goes, I've been trying to call her. I said, okay, let's just go drive over there then. So she's like getting ready to get out of bed. And then she calls my sister again, and all of a sudden she answers. Hello. And my mom yells, because that's how my mom is. What are you doing? And I'm standing there and I'm like all antsy, right? And I'm like hysterical. I was like, is she okay? She's okay. She's okay. I was like, oh, she's okay. Let me talk to her. And my mom's like yelling at her, and I just want the phone. And my mom's like, why? What do you want to talk to her for? I was like, Mommy, I helped her. Something bad happened to her. Let me talk to her. Because I know she wouldn't tell my mom, because she wouldn't worry my mom, right? And I was like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm laying here. I'm like, what did you do last night? She's like, what do you mean? And I could tell in her voice, right? Like there was something wrong with her. I was like, what did you do, sister? She's like, nothing. I was like, don't lie to me. I said, Grandma came to me last night and I was sitting with her in your living room. I said, I had to carry you to your tub. I said, you overdosed. And then she just starts crying. And I was like, what? She goes, I woke up in my tub. I don't know how I got there. Me and my grandma saved her. How did we do that? I was at home at my mom's house in the basement. And my grandma, she's not alive. My mom knew there was something going on because she paced the house the whole night. She never slept. She heard me telling my story to my sister. I told her we were walking around and I was showing her pictures, and I was like, look at her little table. I was showing her around the house. Like my grandma was almost like we were just killing time, it seemed like, right? And she would ask me questions like, oh yeah, this is over here. I was showing her my sister's house. My mom heard me tell that story. And my mom too knew there was something wrong with her. That's why she kept calling her all night. But my mom kept pacing back and forth the whole night. I didn't sleep. It was again sleep paralysis. My body went somewhere else, and I went and I saved my sister. And she cried and she said, I don't know how I got to that tub. She goes, but thank you. She goes, if you're telling me that you come and save me, then I know you did. I said, I didn't do it. It was Grandma. Because my grandma, that was her favorite. You know, out of all of us girls, she loved Patricia. My mom didn't want her. And she was born with the cord wrapped around her neck. And my grandma said, this one's going to give you a run for your money. You want to lay there and spread your legs and then try and not have this kid and try and not want this kid. She's going to put you through hell. Sure enough, my sister boy, you guys knew anything about my sister Patricia. She's a wild one. She's a wild one. She'll call you out. She didn't give a fuck. She was crazy, boy. Oh, the world. Oh, she was too good for this world. Straight gangster. She'll have your back. She would never plot against you. She would never sit you down and do a ritual on you. She would never do that. She was just beautiful. Oh, beautiful. So that was another encounter where I knew there was something about my soul. Like, how would I know that? And there's been plenty of times where me and my sister were connected like that. You know, there's another time she was in jail and she wanted to kill herself. And I was going through, I just started dabbling in drugs because I was mad that she was in jail. And she was pissed off at me. And she knew that she had to be here, right? Be here for me. She was mad at me when I told her what I did. And then I woke up in the middle of the night at 3 o'clock because she blamed herself that I did it. She was crying at 3 o'clock in the morning. Like, what did I show her? What did I show my baby sister? She shouldn't be doing this. And I sat up in my bed, and all of a sudden my arms went around me. And I just sat in my bed and I started crying and rocking, because that's what she'd always do to me. She'd always rock me. And I sat up and I started doing that, and she called me in the morning. She started crying. She said, I woke up at 3 o'clock. I couldn't sleep last night, sister. I was just worried about you. She goes, please don't do that. Don't do those drugs. She said, don't. She started crying on the phone. I'm sorry I showed you that. That's not life. That's not the right thing to do. You know, she just wanted me to be better. She's like, stay working. Go back to school. Don't be doing that. Like, she got real mad at me. And she goes, man, it's bugging me, Tan. Don't do that. She goes, I couldn't even sleep last night. She goes, I just sat up. And I was just like thinking of you, and I just hugged myself. And I was like, shut up. How would she know that I was up at 3 o'clock in the morning? And I hugged myself, but that wasn't. That was us hugging each other. We both woke up at the same time. Well, she never went to sleep, right? But I woke up at the time when she was like crying for me and wanting me to be better, right? So that I knew, me and my sister, that's a connection that no one will ever take from me, from her, anything, right? Me and her were like thick as thieves. And I remember I helped her cut off her bracelet, her ankle bracelet one time. She got busted using in my mom's house. My mom got her out of jail and told her, you better get clean. And she said, yeah, Mom, I will. And my mom caught her using, and my mom called the police to come get her. And she said, I'm not going back to jail. And so I told my mom, I said, she's going to cut off her anklet, because I didn't want my sister to go, right? But then here I am, I go and help her cut it off. I tell my mom she's cutting it off. And then I go and help her. I was like, the cops are coming, sister, they're coming. And they had, like, they knew my sister because she was affiliated with a big drug dealer, right? Her husband. Big, he supplied a lot of dope. He was the dope man everywhere. You know, everyone knew him. So as soon as they say her name, all fucking cops are on deck, right? So we get her ankle bracelet cut off, and she goes taking off. And then that cop comes, and I'm going like this in the kitchen so he can't get past me, right? So I'll give her a little bit of time to get away. I remember that. And then she goes and hides behind, because we used to have big dumpsters, like garbage bins, big brown ones, right? She goes and hides behind there, and they're looking for her. And I don't know why they would not look back there. But anyway, she ended up getting away, I think, for about, how long was it? I think like a day. They caught her the next day. Because she went and gave her old man, my brother-in-law, she went and gave him a licking and jumped out the fucking window because he had somebody in his apartment. So she jumped in there and broke her fucking ankle. So my poor sister had to fucking go to jail, coming off drugs, go to jail, broken leg. Her man was fucking cheating. You know what I mean? Oh, it was so awful. I felt she just endured so much. So that was really, really tough. But that's when we lived in St. John. There was a lot of other weird things that happened in my family. There was another time when my uncle's wife, my auntie, it was said that somebody put medicine on her. We went there and she was being weird, right? Like she was throwing herbs. But again, I was there. How come I was there, you guys? Why did I have to go there? You know? Mom and dad were there and me. And then my auntie is in the room doing this like it was weird. Like she was throwing herbs and like blowing things. And was it at me? I don't know. Was that another ritual done on me? I don't fucking know. But it was said that somebody put medicine on her and she was losing her mind. And so why was I summoned to go? right? And my uncle's like, you need to pray. You need to pray for her. Again, my family always knew who in the fuck I was. Why does this shit always happen to fucking me? You know? So anyways, we ended up, like, whatever that was, we got rid of it. I don't know how. I'm trying to remember. I remember sitting on the bed and my uncle being like, you have to do this. You have to pray. You have to do this for her, okay? And, like, there was even a moment when I was in the room alone with my auntie. It was strange. Was there something being put on me then? I don't think so. Because my auntie was like my second mom. When she left, oh my God. Life was literally never the same once my auntie left. Once my mom left, oh, even worse, you know? There's so much death that I have endured, you guys. It's insane. So that was another moment when I realized, you know, this journey isn't fucking easy. This is crazy. Life is crazy. I mean, at this point now in my life, I want to say I'm like 18 years old. I'm on my own. I'm working at a job. I am what I think is thriving, but I'm not. I come into a group of friends who are a bunch of cokeheads, and you hang out with 6 cokeheads. They weren't crackheads. I became a crackhead later. But you hang out with 6 cokeheads, you're going to become the 7th one. And let me tell you, I did. I broke my sister's heart. I broke my mom's heart. And life for me at that moment was forever changed. I think I'm going to end it right here because I feel like that is a lot of energy. You guys know about my molestation. You know about the entities. You know about the hardships. This is my truth. This next part of my life is when things get really weird. When I meet what I thought was the love of my life, but it actually was the devil in disguise. When the unraveling of family becomes exactly what it is, liars. You know, I have endured a lot, and by me taking this stance and sharing my story, it's because I want to empower you guys. I want you guys to see who I am, the other side of me, and why I am the way that I am, why I have this rough exterior. I grew up in the hood, 1440 King Street. I grew up fighting my native side because I was too black. I grew up not knowing my black side. And once I did know it, I wasn't black enough. My life has been a constant battle, and I don't say this in the, oh, poor me. God knew what he was doing when he made me. God knew exactly what he was doing when he made me. I have been put in situations in my life that I wouldn't even wish on my worst enemy. I want you guys all to know that this journey is not easy, but being honest and truthful with yourself is going to bring you such freedom. Stay tuned. I'm going to come back on Saturday, and we will continue talking about the truth. I love you all.